Good evening, boys. Welcome back to another newer Wednesday. I think we're on episode like 19 or 20 by now. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate that. Ped, how you doing, bro?
Yo, hello.
And super special guest, Studeee, with us tonight, man. How you doing, bro?
Dude, I'm doing fantastic. Even though, the game was delayed. Hey man, I think it was for the better, and yeah, I'm doing great.
Good man. I think you got like a different setup from when I last saw you. Have you had a room change around or something?
Yeah, I moved into the office. I was in a bedroom, but now I'm in the office in my house.
Cool.
Why would you say it?
Sorry, bringing it up. Yeah, so tonight, boys, the plan is we've got a few things we want to talk about. Firstly, we want to get Studee's feelings on the beta, what he enjoyed, what he didn't enjoy. We're going to go through some of the things that we, I didn't actually experience some of these in the beta, but the bugs, the exploits, and, kind of talk beta experience and what we all felt about it. And I know me and Ped kind of went through it last week. Plain and world, only what you enjoyed, nothing else. Brilliant. Yeah, there's definitely nothing we didn't enjoy. But yeah, anything that we think that could be improved, maybe that's a good way of saying it. And yeah, definitely things that we did enjoy. But also, I have one big question for both of you guys later on is, do we think it's going to be actually released on the 28th, or whether there may be I can't talk about it. Whether there may be another delay. So you maybe have a think about that while we're chatting. But and of course, kind of my final point, I think we'll try and get Studee's favorite build, or maybe some tips for a good weapon from the master, man. I've gave you the title of weapon master today. I've watched your videos, dude. And to be completely honest, I think New World actually retweeted the roll animation that you put out, and they retweeted that, and the amount of shit I got actually from people in game because I was doing that. They were like, Dan, you're fucking hacking, when actually it was just something that you found and something that they talked about. How did you find that, like, how and was that just kind of playing around, or did you kind of have an idea in your head that you wanted to see what could be possible?
Well, actually, I can't really take credit for it. It was somebody else. I think it was somebody in the Discord that was like, "Hey, I found this you can." We knew that we could animation cancel attacks, which I think that makes the game. Some people say it makes the game less fun, or makes it kind of janky feeling. I think it feels really, really fantastic. I love getting that little, even like if you have the great axe and you get a light attack into a instant cast charge, like that's like one of the best feelings in New World right now, I think. But yeah, somebody else was like, hey, well, what, it looks like you can animation cancel dodges. And that just completely opened the floodgates. I mean, we started practicing everything, like the, and I really found out that animation cancel dodging is way more complex than it's so much more complex than you initially think. You can animation cancel a dodge with a switch weapon or a sheath, and it makes it so that your active weapon is, so if you want to fire off a particular ability after that dodge, you either want to sheath cancel or switch cancel, and there's a bunch of other stuff, like light attack canceling, and there's just a bunch of ways to do it. And so just creating that video was a really good way for me to practice. And I thought that, after we learned about that, open world PvP became a lot funner. And I just saw a lot of people not using it.
Dude, it changed my gameplay. I won't get Ped's experience on it, because if you guys know, he didn't spend much time out of being encumbered, so we won't get his experience on the combat round. But like genuinely changed my my gameplay, because when I I was originally running with heavy armor all the time, and then one of the boys, Carnage, shout out to Carnage, was running light, and I see him dodge rolling, and I was like, bro, what are you doing? Like, teach me the ways. He's like, yeah, Studee's like retweeted this, like he's put it out. What are you doing, Dan? Get on it. And since then, like my experience through the beta PvP wise completely changed. I didn't use it in the wars. I stuck with heavy in the wars because my feeling was just I went in and I sat on a point and tried to survive. But the open world. Like, I found myself being able to run through groups of 30, 40 people, maybe because they didn't know what was going on, but I was, in the carnage of open world fighting, just the chaos, it was amazing, and it kept me alive, man. Like, without that, I probably would have rage quit the game. But it was amazing. It really did help, especially, in those outnumbered scenarios. So, yeah, props to you for that, man, because that was awesome. And, one of your guys who found it, props to them, but getting it out there, man, was awesome. Really, really cool.
Yeah, and like Banana Order just said, it really just raises the skill ceiling of combat and PvP in particular by miles, like Banana Order said. And I think, man, if that wasn't in the game, I think PvP, like, combat would just feel a little bit slow. I really like duels where both people have light armor and you're getting like, really cheeky backstabs off because your animation canceled out, dodging. You can just be that much faster. A rapier riposte, you can't get it off unless your animation cancel dodging. If you don't have that second passive, that gives you an extra 0.5 seconds, and so it kind of changes the game when you're, as far as skill ceiling is concerned. So yeah, I enjoy it.
I can see chat, and the chat that's happening now was exactly the way it was in the beta. I streamed pretty much every day, and I had people DMing me saying they're going to report me. I had people saying, how do you do that? But I ended up changing my weapon, to my mouse wheel. So every time I would dodge, I would use a scroll wheel to switch weapons. So right. I kept shift as dodge, and then every time I would see my guy getting through the end of the roll, I could mouse wheel, and that was my way of that was my way of making it happen a lot of the time. And it was great fun. I think it whether people see it as a skill thing or just an extra button thing or whatever, for me it gave me that kind of extra mobility, which felt faster and felt like you could change the pace of a battle. Yeah. Anyway, that was really cool, man. I think it was nice to just touch on that quickly. So moving away from New World for a minute. Like, New World's gone out of our life. It's not. It's still there. But New World is gone until the 28th of September. We won't see it. We won't get to play it. Is there... I'll start with you, Ped. Are you going to be playing anything else between now and New World? Is there anything that's kind of caught your eye? What are you going to be doing?
I don't think there's anything that's going to, completely fill that gap. I'll play a bit of Sea of Thieves, play a bit of Battlefield 4, maybe play some Battlefield 5 if I can be bothered to download it. But I've been catching up on the real world since the beta's finished. So yeah. It's quite nice. I've kind of completely forgotten about the game, knowing that there was the delay. So it's like I'm not gonna hype myself out for the next 6 weeks, knowing that there is a slim chance it might shift right again. Who knows? So I'm just like, it will come. I'll be ready when it comes. So yeah, I think I was just because in the Steam store, when you click, because I've got so many versions of New World in my Steam store at the moment. The New World closed beta, did that keep accrued hours from when we played preview last year, or did it actually install an entirely different game?
I think it did. I don't know if you've got any solid intel, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it could.
Yeah, because I was just looking. I've got 285 hours played, so I was trying to work out how the hell I achieved that in beta.
No sleep, man. No sleep.
Yeah, but I slept, so or maybe I just fell asleep at the keyboard while I couldn't move. That was probably
there were some people in my Discord that had like 450 hours or 500 hours on their Steam.
That is impressive, man.
You definitely couldn't do that.
That's impressive. So Sea of Thieves, maybe then, Ped, bit of that. Get back into that.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't know what it's like for you. I mean, well, I know what it's like for you because you have to roll out of bed to be in your office. But yeah, we're back. There's a lot of businesses now, certainly in the UK, where people are expected back in the office. So
yeah.
I've got 3 days back in the office each week from a couple of weeks' time. So that's going to be interesting, doing the commute back into London.
Hey, great fun.
Yeah,
Great fun.
yeah.
What about you, Studeee? Any games on the horizon while we wait for New World?
I'm not playing very many games, to be honest. It's like head to the grindstone, to be honest. You know,
Yeah.
I was talking with Redbird and BDLG, and we were kind of we had similar thoughts about before the delay happened. We were like, oh my gosh, we have 1 month to get all of the content that we want to get out before the game releases, and I have like 8 to 10 videos that I want to get out before the game launches, and so I was kind of panicking, and but now we have an extra month, and so it's kind of alleviated that. It's a good and it's a bad thing at the same time. But yeah, I've been working on a lot of new content and getting company more organized. That's a big thing that I'm doing right now.
Nice.
And but I have been playing a little bit of Tribes of Midgard. I don't know if anybody's been playing Tribes of Midgard. It's really, really fantastic, kind of bird's eye view Valheim type game.
Oh, sweet.
So that's kind of filled up a little bit of time.
I've heard of it. I've seen a video. It's got like an Albion Valheim love child type game, right?
Yep.
It's got that feeling
Exactly.
to it. Yeah, no, that's cool, man. I think I'm similar. I got a lot of ideas for content for New World, and actually, you know, the last 2 days of beta I spent running around, you know, doing things like chopping trees and just getting content that we may use for future videos and stuff. I think, you know, as kind of creators, I think, you know, all of our channels had a bit of a rise with the influx of people playing New World, and that for us is really cool, I guess, to see people genuinely watch the footage and like care about what we're posting. So yeah, I'm the same, but I also you know, last night we played a game called Muck, you know, survival crazy game. You know, it was hilarious. The boys are wanting to play Pokemon MMO. There's Bless Unleashed happening on the Discord. There's all these games that are everyone wants to play, but I think I'm the same as you. Like, I really enjoy sitting and literally just chatting New World. You know, the people that kind of come into the stream throughout the evening are, you know, we call it the New World support group, man. We're here to look after each other because we're all missing the game. But
it definitely helps. It definitely helps to be, you know, talking about it and discussing New World with people, or you get kind of like anxiety because you're like, man, we only got 2 weeks of playtime, and now we got to wait again, you know.
Yeah. What has been really cool is that the time before beta, you know, I streamed quite a lot. You know, I met Redbird and lots of other people. When the beta started, you know, that community kind of stood, and we kind of, you know, went into each other's streams, and I would see a lot of the guys from my stream and yours, and vice versa with a lot of people, and it was really nice to kind of still see, like, there was a lot of people in the server that I met on Twitch before the game even launched, and that was a super cool thing to experience, actually, like the community just sticking together. So yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah,
okay.
I think the New World community as a whole is very positive.
Yeah.
I really love it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I was going to jump back into some New World chat. I'm just going to ask you straight up, what was your most favorite part of playing the beta, Studeee?
Yeah, I mean, I really just liked.
Big question, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I liked about the New World beta. I loved the expeditions. I actually had a very, very good time in the expeditions. Me and after we ran Starstone Barrows, and I recommend, if you've got a group of 5 guys and they're good at playing games, you definitely want to be running these expeditions about 5 levels lower than recommended, because it just makes the experience so much more difficult and that much more rewarding when you actually down the boss. You know, making sure that you have tons of consumables. You're getting ready to go. You know it's going to be a hard dungeon because you're all 5 levels below recommended. And Starstone Barrows, 5 levels below recommended, was one of the best dungeon experiences that I've ever had in my MMO career.
Dude, that's big.
Just,
awesome.
It was very good. After the dungeon, all of the guys that I was in the dungeon with, we got, we were kind of relaxing after the dungeon, and we were just saying, wow, I mean, these expeditions are amazing. And I think I was telling everybody, if there's one thing you have to do before before the beta ends, you have to run Starstone Barrows, because it is just, it's a next level dungeon, I think, and it's very cool. And obviously the PvP, I'm a big PvP guy. I love the PvP, and yeah.
Did you get a chance to do much open world PvP, or was it mainly kind of focused around the territory wars?
We got to do a lot of open world. Yeah, we were hanging around the forts. We were getting all sorts of great open world and large open world battles, kind of more intimate, 2v2s. I had one of my good open world PvP buddies, Brady. A lot of you guys might know him. He runs Firestaff Ice Gauntlet, and it's a fantastic pairing with that Warhammer Great Axe, because you trap somebody in Frostbite, and then it's basically an undodgeable execute. And so we were kind of combo womboing some of these people out in the open world, and it was just a really, really great time.
Awesome. I can see some questions coming in, boys, about weapons and things. Hold fire if you can. Hold fire. We'll pick up some weapon build chats shortly. Ped, I know we kind of touched base on it. You didn't get much chance to explore outside of crafting, but was there anything that really took your fancy in the beta that you're looking forward to playing again when the game finally releases?
Well, I didn't do that expedition. I was high enough level. I just never got around to doing it. I did one Amrine excavation.
I think for people who don't know, me and Ped obviously played the preview together last year, and we both really smashed the preview. So for us, the beta became a place to just constantly test from places into combat, so the PvP missions things. And I think, Ped's kind of taken up quite a big role within our company and kind of overseeing all the crafting, and we're trying to work together as a clan with the crafting. So, for people who think Ped maybe just be a noob, it wasn't that, and I'm me too of my level. It was we kind of found ourselves focused on things that may take us to that next level competitive wise.
Absolutely, we used it as a bit of a sort of proof of concept, because we know lots of things have changed from preview, and I'll be really excited for when it does release to actually go and do all the expeditions properly. That would be awesome. But yeah, we wanted to test a load of stuff. I mean, again, it will depend on whether there are any significant changes between end of beta and when release does happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really useful. As painful as it was spending pretty much the whole time encumbered, it was pretty useful to learn a load of other sort of game mechanics, especially on the crafting side. So that was massively beneficial. And I wouldn't have done that if I hadn't played in preview. I would have just gone and experienced the world in much more detail, but I didn't feel the need to do it this time round. I did like, it felt, compared to preview, that the resources were much more accessible than they were in preview. But again, back in preview, I think harvesting went up to level 300. Your gathering went up to 350, 400, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's 200, right? So it was interesting. It'll be interesting to try to work out when release actually does drop what the difference in that was, because I got to level 350 harvesting in preview, and that was pretty much just the last. I sort of spent the last day just running around picking hemp. So there's some sort of mechanics that will be quite interesting for an XP level. But one I wanted to ask Studeee, how did you find your server? Because were you playing NA East?
We were playing. Well, we had small companies in US West, US East, and EU, and that'll be the same for launch. But I was playing on US West.
And how did you find your server from like a maintenance uptime perspective, especially when you were doing open world and stuff? Was it quite stable, or did it sort of suffer a bit like our server did and kept falling over?
Yeah, my server was completely stable.
Okay.
It was there was I mean, I didn't have any queue times. It rarely ever. I don't think it ever just crashed.
Wow.
But we were going to run El Dorado, and I would imagine we would have had some stability issues and queues on El Dorado. But the El Dorado was actually down for the first 18 hours of New World launch, so we had to actually change it completely to the server that I kind of had in mind as kind of a second option, which was a Raleigh. But yeah, we didn't have any problems on a Raleigh, which was kind of a blessing.
Okay, yeah. No, I'd be really fascinating to know whether certain servers were more susceptible to falling over, and whether that was linked to the amount of like open world PvP that was happening, or the amount of open world, or even in the wars. Because certainly we saw, I think we saw a degradation of the resourcing stability through the courses of our wars. But then, as you think, the players got higher levels, there was a lot more AoE spamming going on as people got higher levels, and whether it was potentially linked to that or not. But I think that will be quite interesting for release, whether whatever server we end up on, that it remains stable.
It's interesting that you say that, Steve, because we found quite a lot in the first week that would be kind of running open world, and we would get this lag detected message come up, and the servers would drop and you couldn't get back in. And I guess it's kind of reassuring to know that if the servers are not mad busy, like we had pretty much queue times for the whole week, the whole first week. If you were on any time past kind of midday, you were in a queue for an hour as a minimum, and you would constantly get thrown out of those queues. So that was kind of frustrating, but everyone knows it was a test, so it's no big issue. But it's kind of cool to know that if you actually didn't experience that from a different perspective as well. Maybe that's why you got higher level than me, man. It's just I was in a queue the whole time.
Yeah, I didn't have 10 hours total worth of queues to sit through.
I wanted to just jump back into your comments on the expeditions, because me and Ped didn't have too much experience on it, but you kind of mentioned that a suggested idea is to kind of do the a 35 suggested level dungeon, do it at 30, so you get that difficulty. Do you think that there should be maybe like scaling within the expeditions, or do you think there should be a way to make them harder so they're more replayable, or do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels bad to run an expedition at recommended and face roll it.
Yeah.
But I do know, and I got a lot of comments on the Discord and in Twitch chat, people saying, this is actually really difficult at recommended. So I really think that there's just a really large diversity in the skill level of players.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it would be nice to see some sort of difficulty scaling, like you can choose how you want to run it, but that also kind of makes people feel not that great when they can't complete it at the highest difficulty. And so I think choosing to, if you're a higher skilled player, you know exactly when you can't run a dungeon. We purposely chose to run these dungeons below recommended so that we would have a bit better time.
Yeah.
The only thing that I would like to see is not being punished for choosing to complete the dungeons at below recommended. When you are below recommended, you don't have the drop chance of that higher tiered gear, or the unique drops in the dungeon are close to 0%. Most of us would never get one of those unique drops if we were below 25 or 35 for Amrine and Starstone. So that kind of felt bad, because we were purposely doing that so we would have more fun, but then we would also get punished for it as well. So
yeah, Amaron just popped a message here saying it was already leaked that the dungeons at launch will have a difficulty setting to pick, and we are all playing it easy in the beta.
We were all playing it easy. That's well, that makes me happy. That's awesome.
It would be kind of cool. So going back to my experiences from Guild Wars, they had kind of a dungeon set called it was called Fractals, and you know, every time you completed it, it kind of got harder and harder and harder, and it would I know nothing about coding, but it would somehow work out. You know, your average party level would be 30, let's say, and it would make that dungeon suitable for you, or there would be levels, something like that, you know, basically different levels of the dungeon. So, you know, if it is true that there's going to be an easy, you know, for argument's sake, an easy, a medium, and a hard, then that could be pretty cool, because, you know, that would potentially cater for, you know, kind of less skilled players, for argument's sake, and then the more skilled players that really want that challenge, because one of the big comments that I kept hearing was that it's not challenging enough, the game is not hard enough. And, you know, I stream things like muck, and there's a constant joke that, you know, you can swim in muck and the bosses are harder in this, you know, one man made game than they are in New World. And there's always that, you know, it's always, you know, taking the piss, but there is kind of some, you know, some feeling behind that we would like more of a challenge for the, you know, the people between us that think we're good at gaming. We may be shit, but we think we're pretty good, so we want a harder challenge, you know.
I was chatting to someone about it last week. I might have been Trust actually on Discord, and I would love when the game officially releases for everyone to get in and start doing all the meta that they think they know from preview and from beta, and it all just to fail because Amazon have just dialed XP gain like right back, because you know in preview it was accelerated, right? It was what, 400% up or something for preview, so we could level quickly. I'm hoping they had that in play in beta and people just led to believe this is what's going to be released. In fact, I spoke to Banana about it in Discord, and he was adamant, no, this is what we'll get in release. And I was like, and there's a part of me that's like, this would be an absolute blinder if when the game drops, it just takes a shitload longer to do everything, and everything's just harder. That would be like, now we're talking about having to put in some serious grind. This is cool.
Yeah. I mirror that, because I feel like at the moment, obviously things have already changed. You know, you can't feed someone loads of materials now and spam the town board. That's just it's not part of the game anymore. But if it took me a week to get my character level 60, I wouldn't feel kind of attached to that server. I would feel like, you know, I could make that decision as a clan leader to take my whole clan to another server. And of course, some people are going to be pissed off, but the vast majority, you know, we got a relatively, let's say, a hardcore clan that most of us wouldn't mind sticking in another grind to get level 60 again. Whereas if it took us a month to kind of get there, you're really going to think about leaving your server. You're going to think about supporting the other factions rather than just ditching the server completely. So I would love to see that too. There's a lot of people that I know that are like, no man, I want to get level 60 quickly and just start fighting. But there's a lot of people as well that are really kind of happy for that grind. So yeah, do you have any thoughts, Studeee, on whether you know the XP is good as it is, or would you like to see it changed, or what's your opinion?
Yeah, I thought it was in a decent place. If you played the game correctly, I hate to say the word correctly, but I didn't do, you know, I probably did a total of like 15 to 20 minutes of town project board quests. And you know, I probably played close to 200 hours and I got to level 49. And so for somebody that's not playing 16 or 18 hours a day, you know, that the journey to 60 would probably take months, you know, 4, 5, 6 months. And New World can't make changes based on the sweaty player base. You know, they have to create a game that's made for a lot of different people, and we don't want it to be like that either, because if you make it like that, then a large majority of the player base won't like it.
Won't ever get there. Yeah, won't get to that kind of end game. Yeah.
Right. So I thought it was in a decent place. I thought maybe it was just a little bit accelerated. I didn't do any crafting, and I know crafting was a big source of is a big source of XP. And so if they do want people to have more of a holistic journey through Aeternum, doing the crafting, doing all sorts of different quests, the main quests, the side quests, the monster farming, I think it might have been a little bit too accelerated for that. Maybe 10, 20, 30% experience, maybe make it a little bit harder to level up. But I honestly thought it was in a pretty decent place.
Nice. Yeah, what's really nice is to see that, lots of different people have such a different experience with the leveling, and that really does show kind of you've just hit the nail on the head, really, is that there's the casuals in us that maybe will get, I say casuals, that's the people that don't play 24 hours a day. I'll call a casual, for argument's sake. Maybe the people that work full time, it's going to be hard to keep up with someone that can do 16, 17-hour days. So the feedback I've got is some people will like it as it is, some people would like it faster, some people would like it slower. From my personal experience, I would like it a bit slower because I can play more time than most people. But yeah, I think if we could make it so the majority of people kind of get to level 60 roughly the same time, or within a couple of weeks of each other, including the people that have to work full time, then that would be great. I think if it's too slow, you'll find that the vast majority of people that can play a longer period of time will be a super high level, but far before anyone else. So yeah, there's that fine line, isn't there, between kind of tipping the balance from one side to the other.
Yep.
Okay, so a bit of a not a negative, but something we should discuss. Did you come across, Studeee, any kind of game breaking bugs or exploits that you think? Well, did you come across anything that needs to be fixed, ready for release?
I mean, definitely. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a reason why it was delayed an extra month. I mean, we've got the most annoying one to me, and maybe this was because I made the dodge animation cancel video, and it was like I was constantly getting this dodge bug where you just can't dodge, and I found out because somebody in chat said, "Hey, what ring do you have on?" And I had the stone hewn ring from Amrine Excavation, and it gave that hardy perk where it gives you a little bit more stamina, and that was causing my character to get the dodge bug like every 5 minutes. So I would just having to constantly kill myself to try to take that bug away. And so that obviously that was that's a game breaking bug for me. I mean, it's not game breaking, but it's so annoying that
ruins your fun.
Yeah, it kind of ruins the fun. They've got the great axe exploit, that heavy attack exploit. I think the biggest ones are the duplication exploits that a lot of people actually didn't know about.
I had no idea.
And I think was the root cause of the delay in general.
Yeah, half of them. Basically, I was very ignorant to all the problems until way after beta finished, and I kind of got back to chat in New World rather than just playing it and kind of glancing at chat and screaming from time to time because we're in war all the time. But I completely missed so much of it, and that might just be because I was blindsided by being back in the game and I just didn't care about anything apart from I'm back in New World. But
right,
yeah, I didn't see much at all. The gold, the speed hacking, things like this, I didn't see kind of these exploits happening. But what about you, Ped? Was there anything from your side that you found that kind of ruined your experience in the beta that needs to be?
I mean, nothing ruined the experience. There's definitely a load of bugs that they need to iron out. I mean, yeah, the Paladin build, I think, just was ridiculous when we were, in the last couple of wars towards the end of beta, where you're just going up against another company that are all just rolling Paladins, and you're like, oh my god, it's actually impossible to do anything.
Yeah, livestock in there as a slideshow, Yeah, I remember that.
So that sort of stuff, yeah, the gold duping. I mean, getting the town boards fixed, I think, is key, because that had a massive impact to the economy, because it was just hoovering up resources. So it kind of created a really artificial economy, the town boards, because everyone was hoarding resources or buying resources off the market, and then you get inflated costs on resources on the market because people want to buy them to do the town boards to level quickly. So if they can iron those things out, because an economy, having the mechanics in the economy work are going to be key to like the long term or the longevity of the game. The one bug, because I spent the most of my time gathering and crafting, so the one bug that I actually encountered a lot was the encumbered bug that allowed you to run when you were encumbered.
What?
Now, after you'd spent about 48 hours encumbered, like I had, when it first happened to me, I was like, what the hell's happening? Is my game lagging or something? Because I'm about 300 weight over my weight limit, so I shouldn't even be able to move right now, and I'm running.
The Amazon gods taking care of you, man.
So the first couple of times it happened, I genuinely thought, because I was more concerned about getting back to the settlement to like unload my go and craft to just reduce my weight. So the first time it happened, I was like, this is weird. Is this a glitch? And ran back to the settlement. And then the next time it happened, at a random point, there was nothing that triggered it. Which was weird. I later on tried to create situations that triggered it, and it just happened randomly. But it started to happen more and more as the beta went on. Well, certainly for me, I don't know whether that was just because I was permanently encumbered and trying to move. I don't know, but yeah, I saw it more and more. So the problem there was I had this massive dilemma when I realized that it was an actual bug, because at first I thought it was the speed bug that people were talking about, and then I watched some speed bug videos. Like, it's absolutely not that. It's like I've just whacked a load of amphetamines up my nose carrying a ton on my back, and I'm like running like some kind of zombie crackhead. So I was like, so I had a massive dilemma, because I was like, do I keep allowing this to happen because it gets me back to the settlement a lot quicker than walking encumbered? So that's what led me to then basically making like 500 encumbered potions so that I could legitimately run back to the settlement. So I wasn't exploiting that bug. But to be honest, I was going to go on the forum to see if it had been reported, because I thought it was the speed bug, but I never got round to, and I'm assuming other people experienced it. Otherwise, if it was just me, that would be pretty mental.
Yeah, Slam he's had the encumbered bug many times as well.
Yeah, you ran faster than normal speed. That's why it was crazy. It was like you were like a zombie in 28, like one of the rage zombies in 28 days later. You just ran like completely like jittering across the screen.
I think I know one of the bigger bugs that a lot of us found was a lot of the guys I was playing with a lot, we were in big PvP most of the time, and when you had people found it more when you had the great axe, but just in general you would end up kind of running on the spot. Like when you were trying to run fast, you would essentially be walking, but your character would be running, and you just couldn't kind of go anywhere at any speed, and that happened quite a lot in open world PvP and like the kind of territory wars, which for our server was I know frustrated a lot of people, because if you got that, you had to relog to get that fixed, which meant you had to sit in another half an hour queue or something. So that was quite fun ruining for a lot of people also. So yeah, it's a real difficult scenario, isn't it? Because a lot of all three of us played the preview. I would have been happy if they released the game back then. I had a good time. I love the environment. I love the sound. I love just exploring. But to see so much more content come into the game has been amazing. But I guess with that comes more issues.
All the additional issues.
Yeah. So
it would have been interesting had we talked about it a lot from preview. If they had just let preview run as look, we're just going to let the game run. We're going to be, to kind of treat it like a sort of an alpha stroke beta, but that's in production, and let people play it. That would have been really fascinating to have kind of like done that journey for 12 months and watch as the game changed, because like we said, off the back of preview, like we would have carried on playing it. Like we would have played it for 12 months. I know there were lots of haters going, oh, there's not enough content and stuff. And it's like, there was plenty in that game for the average MMO player to enjoy doing. Like, you could have wasted 6 months just chopping trees down, let's be honest. So yeah, it would have been quite interesting to see if you could have those concurrent streams, because obviously now we've done beta and there's a lot more in it. It's totally different because I felt we experienced a load more bugs in this beta than we did in the preview last year.
Yeah.
Yes, because there's more stuff, but also the server stability. Like, I think certainly for us on our server, when you looked at the server world list to see which servers were up, our server, I think it would be really good to know, Greg, let us know if our server fell over the most, because it felt like our server was down more than any other server on the EU cluster.
Yeah, you'll be happy to know, Ped, I just released a video on this. we had a big fight at the end where we caught up with the Covenant, and there was a big tower near Everfall. I don't know if you remember it, Studeee. I can't remember what it was called off the top of my head, but it's
I don't even remember the server.
Fenland, yeah, no, that's it. But we played basically King of the Hill. We arranged a bit of a PvP, and yeah, we were at that point where we were attacking this tower, and all these Covenant jumped off the top of the tower, and I think about 50 people's games just stopped responding at this point, like all simultaneously when this
was that in the
big
war?
fight. No, this was open world. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's things like that was just, I found it hilarious to see, because we were like joking, yeah, we crashed the server, boys, good job, yeah, proper beta testing, good fun. There's a handful of ones that fell over more often than others. I know the Battle for New World server, Nav was up there.
It would be good genuinely, it'd be interesting to know if Kvenland on the EU cluster fell over a lot, because there was a lot of open world PvP going on, and there were a lot of wars, and I mean, because there was a war towards the end we had, wasn't there, where we were literally about to engage with the company we were defending, and then lag detected, and then we all logged back in the queue, and the war was won, and we'd won the war, but we got respawned back in the war, but we'd won the war.
Yeah,
so it was bizarre.
Some strange circumstances, but I think the question off the back of all of these chats about what we found went wrong isn't necessarily to shit on the game, because we're all here because we love it. We got a little show happening. Again, we've been here for 20 odd weeks talking about the game that's not even out yet. So we're here for a positive thing and talking about it. But do you think? I mean, I know nothing about coding, developing games. I just enjoy playing them. Maybe from your experience, Studeee, do you think 28th of September is enough time for them to get things ready for us? And ultimately, do you think they're gonna launch on the 28th of September?
I think that so we had a 9-month delay, right? That was the previous delay, and this is a 1-month delay.
Yep.
And I was telling this to somebody, 1 month delay, that's a confidence move.
Yeah.
It's not like, okay, we're gonna extend it for 3, 4, 5, 9 months again. We just need an extra month, and that's kind of a power move, I think. So I do think that it will release on September 28th, but I also said I thought it was gonna release on August 31st as well. I think that them coming out and saying that they're just going to be working on these bugs was really fantastic as far as PR is concerned, and something that I would want to hear too. I think that a lot of people that got inflamed because of this 1 month delay, I've found that a lot of those people didn't really know that there were duplication glitches going on, and I, as well as many other people, know that MMO is all about its player economy, and duplication glitches will bring servers to their knees. We see this in all different types of games. This could be the same impact as from bots. You can see RuneScape is overflowing with bots. World of Warcraft. If you don't treat these problems right away, man, it's going to be a really bad experience for everyone. And it's not going to be apparent in the first couple of weeks. It'll be more apparent in a few months when you have a bunch of just inflation that you weren't really expecting, and so I think it's a good move.
Good to get your take on it, man. Haven't really looked at it in that kind of light before, so that's good to hear. What was I going to say? Lost my complete train of thought.
Yeah, I was just going to jump in and say that I completely agree there, Studeee, and also, this is Amazon, right? So if when the game does release, whatever date it might actually be on, if the servers hold up and everything works like we expect it to work, as per the beta, i.e. we don't need any new stuff introduced, just get those things ironed out. Because server stability is also something that kills games off, right? You've got the best game in the world, but I spend 3 hours in a queue, I get in for 10 minutes, and then the server falls over. Like people's patience wears thin in those sorts of scenarios. So I think those are the two, get those bugs fixed, get the infrastructure stable, and then release. I think, we've been here for nearly 2 years, 2+ years waiting for the game. If they turned around and went, look, we need another 6 weeks after September to iron this out, in reality, if it means that the product that comes out has fixed those things that we've experienced in the beta, then I think that's still worth an additional delay, because you end up with a polished product to go and experience, right?
Right.
And that's the thing that will keep the community alive. It will bring in new people, because it's like anything, isn't it? Word of mouth. Your friends, everyone's playing New World. Your mates like, what do you want to play? And everyone's playing New World. So you can be a loner in a single player game, or you can get involved with all your mates who are playing, the MMO. So yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful for the end of September, but I'm not going to lose sleep if it did get delayed, because we've just been waiting so long now for something that's polished.
Oh, yeah. I know what I was going to ask you now, Ped. Because you kind of got some experience with servers and things like that. Do you feel like if they don't find these issues and don't fix them for the 28th, I know you've kind of touched on it then. Is there any way that what could they do to fix it? If they don't fix it on the 28th, what would kind of be the route that they could go? I personally don't want to see something like seasons coming into the game where everyone gets reset. That's just not part of what New World should be. But how, should they miss a duplication bug, and should a server be absolutely ruined, economy-wise, because someone's just gone out and duped loads of items, or whatever it may be? What do you think they would be able to do to?
No, I think so. When we had preview, right? Remember when preview ended, they went, look, we've had loads of amazing feedback. We've learned loads. We need to do a lot more to the game. So we're going to delay until next year for an alpha. And then we'll do the beta in March. And then obviously we got to December, and it's like, look, we've got loads of feedback from alpha. There's loads of things that need fixing. We're going to push the beta all the way to the August, right? So they've had 2, fairly sizable changes already in terms of the release date. So maybe they are really confident that 6 weeks is enough to iron out those bugs and the infrastructure issues. And if that's the case, then awesome. But I'm not going to be one of the many that threaten to refund the game if they were to turn around and go, we need another 6 weeks to iron this out, because I want to be able to play. You talk about the less hardcore community, of which there'll be probably their biggest player base will be the non-hardcore community, i.e. the ones that aren't strapped to their PC 24 hours a day, right? That will be their biggest player base. And with people going back to work, the world is sort of kind of going a little bit back to normal. People will have other commitments. So the time that you get to play the game, the hours I get to play the game, if I'm logging in, sat in a queue for an hour, and then the server falls over, guess what? I'm not going to play the game. So if I get a game in September that does that, I'm going to stop playing that game, because my time is finite, and I'll rather go and play a game that's stable and have fun for the duration I've got that time, right? So for me, and I would argue that I probably sit in the largest player base for the game, in the middle ground. I think that would affect that player base the most. I could be completely wrong, but generally that's how I would feel.
Yeah, I think I Yeah, very different scenario. I mean, I very much hyped up Atlas. It suits our community. Pirate ships, pirates on the seas fighting, and that game just didn't work at the start. Like completely didn't work. And everyone I know, we lost all of our ability to refund because we sat in queues for 10 hours on launch day, and then everyone couldn't play anyway. So I absolutely agree. If the launch goes great, then the game has an awesome future ahead of it. But we've sat on a rather not negative but a sad subject of all these problems. Let's move on to kind of my final point for today. Studeee, do you have a favorite build that you've put together, from the beta, before the beta? Is there, give us your favorite build and why?
Yeah, that's a tall order because there are technically 55 different combinations of weapons that you can possibly have. I think more complex attribute builds are a little bit funner, as mentally.
Mhm.
I think trying to do something with int scaling gems or focus scaling gems is a bit of fun, and so I ended up ending the beta with an Ice Gauntlet Rapier build, and I int scaled the Rapier with a Frost gem or an Aquamarine. And the really nice thing about the Ice Gauntlet Rapier build and gemming it with an Aquamarine and giving it some ice damage is that you have that ultimate chill ultimate on the Ice Gauntlet that amplifies your ice damage by 35% to targets that have been recently hit with an Ice Gauntlet ability for the next 2 to 3 seconds. And so if you give that Rapier ice damage, then you're going to be amplifying your damage using the Ice Gauntlet ultimate, which is really cool. And besides that particular build, I really liked how effective the bow spear combination was. I don't know if Barry Mango usually jumps into a lot of these Twitch chats, but if Barry Mango's in there, he was a really great spear bow player, and so he would the bow has lots of different movement speed, passives, and so he would kind of kite you around, and he'd deal massive damage with rapid shot when he knows that you're waiting for your stamina to come back. Like if you do a double roll and you have no stamina, he knows instantly that he can rapid shot you. And with the passes that amplify damage and give you some buffs using the poison shot, and the poison shot actually seemed to be pretty forgiving in 1v1 combat. And the nice thing is that the spear kind of complemented the bow because he could kite you around for a little while with the bow, but then as soon as you actually caught up to him, he would switch over to that spear and give you that double wombo combo undodgeable vault kick into sweep combo, and then he would run away with his bow again. You also get that movement speed swap. You get a 10% movement speed when you switch back to the bow, and so then he would kite you again. And so he was a really decent player, and also everybody knows the Fire Staff Ice Gauntlet build was really fantastic. Really high damage. The Ice Gauntlet just has so much utility. Yeah. I think maybe both of those weapons need to be tuned down just a tad. Maybe the Ice Gauntlet a little bit more than the Fire Staff, but those 3 builds, I think, if you're looking to have some great PvP fun, I would recommend.
What armor were you wearing for the builds you did do? Because I played Fire Staff, Life Staff in preview, and then in this I played Fire Staff and Ice Gauntlet rather, and was pure intelligence with I had crafted tier 4 intelligence gems as well, and had that on all my gear. So my int was ridiculous considering I was level 42. But like in preview, because all in light armor, high intelligence, once someone gets close, you just get smashed. You're made of paper. So
right.
Did you notice any sort of significant differences in the builds you were running, using the different armor types from light up to heavy, or were people running Fire Staff, Ice Gauntlet in medium armor, or were they trying to do that, a combination of medium heavy and light gear, but still staying in the medium tier threshold? Or were they?
Yeah, that's a good question. The I stuck to light. I think it's a lot funner
because of the rolls
in
and
light.
stuff.
the rolls, when both players are in light, you get the funnest PvP experience that you possibly can. It's very tactical. When you start to slip down into these medium and heavy armors, the combat gets really, really sluggish. When we were outside of Windsward, just dueling for hours, I stopped dueling these heavy armor builds. Like, I just completely stopped. If I knew they were rolling heavy armor, I just stopped doing them, because it's basically just a chip and run type of play style. And I mean, you know what you're doing if you're running that type of build. You just want to play them. I mean, not everybody was doing that just to play the meta, but a lot of people just transitioned to that one particular build. The sword and shield, life staff, heavy armor, or great axe, life staff, heavy armor.
Yeah.
And because I think that heavy armor is way overtuned. Somebody in my Discord, very, very knowledgeable player, Sarfis, he might be in the chat right now, but he recommended, and I agree with him, potentially maybe a flat armor penetration for all PvP, so that heavy armor mitigation in PvE isn't affected, but maybe we get a little bit of a scaling armor penetration bonus for any PvP interactions, so that they can kind of nerf heavy armor just in a vacuum, just for PvP. And I thought that could be a pretty decent idea.
Nice. Guys, while we have him here, if you have any questions for Studeee around builds or something like that, or for Ped around crafting, or any questions that you want to throw in, we'll start to kind of wrap up our new Wednesday. We've been on for about an hour, so we tried to keep them to an hour. I can see already, like, light armor rapier is probably the most mobile in the game. Heavy armor was way OP. I think melee players should never play light armor. Lots of awesome comments, and it's really awesome hearing your guys' opinions. But yeah, if you have any questions, nerf heavy. If you have any questions, feel free to fire them in. I'm just gonna set up a raid on someone I'd like to jump into this evening. But yeah, we've got good for a few minutes. If there's any questions there from the boys.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, sorry.
No, go for it. I was just going to read out one of the questions. Go for. I think you should answer. Studeee, you should answer that one from number 1 Mudkip about the new weapons.
I'll answer that in half a second. I really wanted to just preach and recommend to everyone, like, you have the choice to have as much fun as you want in an MMO. And so the people that I was running expeditions with, we ran it 5 levels under recommended on purpose. Like, we really mentally chose to do that sort of thing. And I think that you can also do the same thing in PvP. You can, one of the best PvP experiences that I had in New World during the beta was going completely naked. We were dueling. We just made all of the weapons. We would have all of the same weapons, all of the same abilities, no armor, the same attribute points. Everything was the same, and we would duel. We would duel with the same weapons, and it was just really, really an amazing experience. And I just implore everyone to really do what they want in these games, because you really can. You don't have to go out and fight against these the meta and the heavy armor meta. You can play with your friends, and you can create any situation that you'd like to. And I thought that was one of the funnest experience I had, was just dueling naked with Freddy outside of Windsward. And anybody can create that sort of situation for themselves.
That's cool. I obviously I got a lot of stick from my guys for being completely underleveled from the rest, and that's absolutely fine. But one of the most fun, the real fun I had was coming across a level 50 as a level 30, and really kind of, I played a Warhammer Great Axe the whole time, and really trying to hone in my skills on these weapons, whether people call it a meta or not, and being 20 levels under. I know there was talks about scaling, all that, but for me, just being a lower level and challenging yourself to beat someone higher with better gear than you was really, really good fun. And yeah, constant dueling. I love your naked duels, man. That's good. Sounds like good fun. do you want to? Okay, so number one says one of the weapons that are rumored. What do you think? One of the new weapons that are rumored. What do you think has the best outlook?
So I've seen a number of weapons teased or leaked. I don't know which ones are leaked and which ones are teased at this point, or which ones, you know. But I've heard of Void Gauntlet. I've heard of daggers. I've heard of Greatsword. I've heard of 1H clubs. I've heard of crossbow and pistol. And to be honest, I think that the Void Gauntlet looks really, really. The Void Gauntlet really that's the only weapon that we have a leaked ability list, and the weapon looks very, very good for PvP. You've got I couldn't name the abilities offhand because I don't look at them every day like I do the other weapons that are currently in the game. But yeah, the Void Gauntlet looks really, really great. I'm kind of excited about a Greatsword. I'm kind of excited about daggers. I don't know how I feel about pistol and crossbow, but I would imagine they'll make their way into the game at some point. And it's all a bit of fun, especially, you know, having as many weapons and as much, you know, variety as possible. I think is great in MMOs. But the Void Gauntlet, I think, seems like it has a great ability set, especially for PvP.
Yeah, especially when you load it with the Void gems once you've crafted some decent Void gems.
Void madness. Right. Slam says company storage mechanic. Ped, what do you reckon, man? You think it's needed?
So, like, I suppose it depends if you're a sadist or a masochist, but like, it would be like a lot of the things you hear everyone asking for. A lot of it's convenience, right? So if you're like Ultra Zippy's there, do you think there should be a mini map? Like every game's got a mini map. I quite liked putting auto run on and pressing M and looking at the map while I was just letting my character run in a direction behind it. Because you can still see where you're going by looking at the map, right? And then you just move the mouse. You don't actually have to see a player. So a mini map is just another convenience thing, right? I don't think the game needs it. Like the clans, the company storage, does the game need it? Like everyone would benefit from having it in the game, but the game doesn't necessarily need it, right? As we tested, there are means and ways of improving that storage problem space. They're not perfect, but then if everything was perfect, it probably becomes boring, right? Like, as frustrating as being encumbered all the time was, it didn't stop me playing the game. It made me try to pursue other avenues to make, you know, my experience less, you know, reduce the resistance I was experiencing. Not by just having, here you go, here's a company storage that takes, you know, infinite storage, right? Like, so unless there's a really strong valid reason for something, I kind of like where they're at with it at the moment. Sure, they can change it in the future, but look, I can buy a house, I can put storage containers in it, I can use encumbered potions, I can do things more intelligently with all the items I'm holding, you know. So I like that idea of having to kind of, like Studeee was saying, you know, you think your way out of the problem you're presented with rather than using a user interface option that you ask the developers to introduce just to make your life easier. So
from a big company perspective, you know, we had 150 people in the beta, and the one thing that we found is that if you are a smaller company, having no company storage is better in a sense that, you know, you can work together easier. What we found with so many people is that, you know, you get more resources, but you can't do anything extra with them. Whereas if you had a company storage with a large company, we could just get people chucking in resources and running away. The issue we found is that trying to get 150 people to talk to one another and share the right resources at the right time without encumbering people, without, you know, it was like logistically very difficult. And I think no company storage actually hinders a larger clan. Whereas if there was the storage, it would aid the larger companies and kind of hinder the smaller companies. Although they could still benefit too, a larger company would benefit a lot more. So potentially that's a nicer way to kind of outbalance and, you know, help the smaller guys, because it is actually really really fucking difficult with a large clan with too many resources. Because what do you do with it? You know, where do you put them?
Yeah, absolutely, the logistics does become more complicated the more people there are, you know, and if there are aspirations to get the population cap on the servers increased, you know, the rumors of the 10k server cap, you know, then if we're talking that sort of number of players, the companies potentially have got bigger, then yeah, I think absolutely that's a point where you'll introduce a company storage solution. You know, like I really like the idea of being in a company, you tax all your players like you do in EVE corporation tax. You know, you as a company, as a governor, could set a taxation rate. So all of your players, rather than having to donate money to the company bank, right, you're just taking a decimal percentage off every single member of the company for every amount of gold they earn, right? I think those sorts of things are really good for the longevity of economy. So yeah, I would be down with that sort of thing for sure.
Super fun one for you, Studeee. Do you think they should get rid of the rainbow tiger?
Yeah, my gut reaction when I saw the rainbow tiger was, what the hell are they doing?
Dude, I thought someone
Really?
tamed a massive tiger from the wild and put it in their house. I had no idea at that point it was from the thing. So yeah, sorry to butt in there.
Oh no, it's you know, I think that they've done a really, really good job of being I would just say thematically correct. All of the gear styles are like, everything looks cohesive. Like the game in itself, like walking into a town, it looks like it looks normal. Like it looks like a part of the game. The rainbow tigers are one of the only things that I've seen in New World that don't look like the game, and maybe they were just trying something like really extreme and out there just to see what people would think about it. And I think people have let them know that thematically correct cosmetics will probably perform just as well, or if not better, than a rainbow tiger. I would never buy a rainbow tiger, but I would definitely buy something really cool, like a horse that has, you know, war armor on or something, and I can buy a little paddock in my house and store my horse or something, you know, or whatever. Something that's thematically correct, I think, will be a little bit more popular than something that's not.
I think New World kind of very much has that medieval feeling to it, doesn't it? You know, and you know, especially with the weapons. Obviously, in the olden days, you probably didn't see a fire staff or an ice gauntlet, but you know, typically, you know, your swords, your shields, your great axes are all kind of real weapons in the real world, and it would be really cool to see a lot more, you know, at least 80-90% of the game feel kind of realistic, and it kind of has that realistic feel to it, and I think people kind of can relate to that a lot easier than a rainbow tiger, you know. And
mate, if they introduced Battle Cat from He-Man, that would fit and it would be epic. It's a tiger with armor. Come
on. A couple more questions. Ped, do you think PvP missions for the PvP faction missions should include killing players as part of the missions?
Well, that's not going to work, is it? Right? Because you're going to run around for bloody ages until you find someone that's PvP flagged. I do think that, I know we've talked about it a lot within the company, but I do think you know, at some point in the near future, whenever they do kind of a major update to the game, introducing PvP zones will be a really good thing for the game, where, you know, you have to be PvP flagged to go into those zones, because then you're going to be catering to those hardcore PvPers, right? So they can go and get their hit just keeping it real in those zones for 90% of their game time, and it's not impacting. Yeah, and that in itself probably frees up the normal settlements to allow people that might have been not wanting to PvP flag. They'll then PvP flag because they're running around in, you know, Windswood or whatever, because they know the majority of the PvPers are going hardcore in a PvP zone at that time. Do you know what I mean? So you might then find that you get more people running PvP faction quests because they feel like they've got a chance of doing them if they're not necessarily hardcore into PvPing and stuff. So I think, you know, there's means and ways which they can definitely enhance the game dynamic and cater for the diversity of the player base for sure.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think I went through a lot of the kind of achievements at the end of the game to kind of see what was being pushed on that side, and there are achievements out there for killing X number of enemy faction members and X number of players, and there are these things within the game, which is pretty cool for the PvP player base. I do think as well that it shouldn't be part of a mission, but then again, to be honest, finding turkeys in Everfall was actually really difficult as well, so maybe it'll be the same scenario.
No, it wasn't. It was easy. You just had to know where to go.
Oh yeah, I had no chance, mate. Well, to be fair, when you're running around with like 60 people, enemies and opposition, so like 100 people, there are no turkeys left, man. They are all gone. Turkey Hearts, baby. There is one. Someone clipped me. I was like running up the road, and I went to attack a rabbit, and I just straight up missed this rabbit with a heavy attack, and just the disappointment on my face was like, okay, I can't kill animals, boys, give me a break. But yeah, no, it was. I don't think that should necessarily be in the game, but I would like to see, maybe like a final point, I'd like to see some more incentive to PvP. Off the back of maybe, if they do bring, for example, any company storage in, maybe you could get that off the back of owning a territory or something like that. Nothing that would make a territory owner overpowered, but something that would incentivize more people to flag for PvP missions, because the one place we always found PvP was when an influence bar started to go up. If the Covenant were attacking Everfall, and you see 50 Covenant running around together, you rally your troops and you start fighting, and it's great fun. You have so many different PvP scenarios start to happen, and yeah, I would like to see some more incentives behind that. But otherwise, we're kind of running over time, boys. It's been a pleasure chatting to you both. Studeee, do you want to tell everyone where they can find you, and yeah, give it a plug. Let them know where they can find you and where and everything.
Well, I do have a Twitch page and a YouTube page, so you can find me there at Studeee, and yeah, that's my plug there. I was just gonna say, Danneh, it might be unsettling because I got the Hooligan Hunter achievement, which was kill 1,000 Marauders.
1,000? What? What? I think I got like 500 Covenant. I was really proud, but you're a meanie, man. Jeez, poor Marauder family. Good effort, mate. Good effort. Ped, are you going to be streaming a bit more Sea of Thieves or anything coming up, or?
Yeah, well.
If not, they'll see you on Newer Wednesday, I guess.
Exactly. Newer Wednesday. If I find the time to have a life outside of real life, definitely for release. I've taken time off for release, so. Fortunately, I can adjust my holiday probably a lot easier than most of the members of PG who've just spent the last week moaning that they've had to change their holiday dates from the end of August to the end of September.
Love it. What I'll do is I will provide links if you guys are watching back on YouTube to Studee's Twitch, YouTube, and Ped's as well. So you'll be able to find all the information there. But Studee's actually on our Discord as well, so head over to the Pro Gaming Discord. All of the links should be there. And boys, don't forget, every Wednesday night we run this show called Newer Wednesdays. But come with me. I'm going to go and raid an awesome guy called Future Troy. We raided him a week ago or so, and he's just a legend, and he's out streaming New World right now. So let's go and show some New World community love over to Troy. And Studeee, Ped, thanks again, boys. It's been awesome chatting.
It's been
always a pleasure. Let's raid him.
Let's go. Thank you guys. Thank you much for joining.